supreme movement in the life of the Republican Party is at hand. The question, to be or not to be, will be decided at Chicago, and I reverently trust in God that it may be decided rightly. If the platform it shall adopt shall be in accordance with its earlier antecedents, if the party shall have the courage and its maturity which it possessed and displayed in its infancy, if it shall express its determination to vindicate the honor and integrity of the Republic by stamping out the fraud, injustice, and violence which makes elections in the South a disgrace and scandal to the Republic, and place a man on that platform with a clear head, a clean hand, and a heroic heart, the country will triumphantly elect him. If it, however, should fail to elect him, we shall have done our duty and shall still have under us a grand party of the future certain of success. I do not forget that there are other great interests beside the Negro to be thought of. The civil service is a great interest. Protection to American industry is a great interest. The proper management of our finances so as to promote the business and prosperity of the country is a great interest. But the national honor, the redemption of our national pledge to the freedmen, the supremacy of the Constitution in the fullness of its spirit and in the completeness of its letter over all the states of the Union alike is an incomparably greater interest than all others. It touches the soul of the nation, which against all things else should be preserved. Should all be lost but this, the nation would be like Chicago after the fire, more prosperous and beautiful than ever. But what I ask of the Republican Party requires no sacrifice or postponement of the material interests of the country. I simply say to the Republican Party, those things ye ought to have done, and not to have left the others undone, and the present is the time to enforce this lesson. Time has come for a new departure as to the kind of man who is to be the standard bearer of the Republican Party. Events are our instructors. We have had enough of names. We now want things. We have had enough of good feeling, enough of shaking hands over the bloody chasm, enough of conciliation, enough of laudation of the bravery of our Southern brethren. We had tried all that with President Hayes, of the purity of whose motives I have no shadow of doubt. His mistake was that he confided in the honor of the Confederates, who were without honor. He supposed that if left to themselves and thrown upon their honor, they would obey the Constitution they'd sworn to support and treat the colored citizens with justice and fairness at the ballot box. Time has proved the reverse of all this. And this fact should cure the Republican Party of adopting in its platform any such soft policy or any such candidate. Let us have a candidate this time of pronounced opinions, and above all, a backbone. There's been no show of federal power in the borders of the South for a dozen years. Its people have been left to themselves. Northern men have even refrained from going among them in election times to discuss the claims of public men or the wisdom of public measures. They have had the field all to themselves. And we all now know just what has come of it, and the eyes of the leaders of the Republican Party are, I trust, wide open. Mr. James G. Blaine, after all, as well as before he failed of his election, pointed out the evil which now besets us as a party and a nation. Senator John Sherman knows full well that the solid South must be broken, that the colored citizen must not be cheated out of his vote any longer, and that the Constitution must be obeyed in all parts of the country alike, that individual states are great, but that the United States are greater. He has said the right word, and said it calmly but firmly in the face of the South itself, and I thank him and honor him for it. I am naming no candidate for the presidency. Any one of the dozen statesmen whose names are in the air, and many whose names are not, would suit me and gain my best word and vote. There is one who has not been named, and not likely to be named, who would suit me, and who would fulfill the supreme demand of the hour, and that man is a Southern man. I refer to the Honorable John M. Harlan, Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, who, true to his convictions, stood by the plain intention of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, in opposition to all his brothers on the bench. The man who could do that in the circumstances in which he was placed, if made President of the United States, could be depended upon in any emergency to do the right thing. But, as I've said, I'm not naming candidates. The candidate of the Republican Party will, in all the likelihoods of the case, be my candidate. I am no partisan. I have no ambition to be the first to name any man or make any man obliged to me for naming him for the high office of president. Other men may do this, and I have no disposition to find fault with them for doing it. If, however, John A. Logan were living, I might name him. I am sure he would not allow himself to be trifled with, or allow the Constitution to be defied or trampled in the dust. I have faith also in Roscoe Conkling, whose dangerous illness we all deplore, and whose recovery we profoundly and anxiously desire. With such a man in the presidential chair, the red shirt and rifle, horseback and tissue ballot plan of South Carolina and the Mississippi bulldozing plan would receive no encouragement. I am, however, not here to name many. My mission now, as all along during nearly 50 years, is to plead the cause of the dumb millions of our countrymen against injustice, oppression, meanness, and cruelty, and to hasten the day when the principles of liberty and humanity expressed in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States shall be the law and the practice of every section, and of all the people of this great country without regard to race, sex, color, or religion. Washington, National Republican, April 17th, 1818, the year of our Lord.
Nikky, your first one.
I think about all the people who came before us, who cannot stand here today. All those eyes, all those hands, who made a bridge. Every year, every generation never gave up the fight that would happen. They're not here to see this. We have to see it for them.
Yes.
We have to pass it on to our kids so we never forget. That's what I'm thinking about.
Yes, yes.
Raine, your first thought.
About damn time. We've been waiting too long.
USA! 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 Oh, where are you going at?
Woo!
There you have it. Final removal of slaver's flag in South Carolina. Big ups to all the people that helped make this happen. In their heart. This is our first victory. It's not the end. It's just the beginning.